What's happening, folks? In today's video, I'm attending a protest in support of racial justice for people of colour, and it's on the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington, where Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech. Now, my aim for this is to document the march and try to take those busy scenes and kind of arrange them in a way that tells a story, makes some sense, and does some justice to the march. Now, I arrived a good hour or so before it got busy and before the marching started, but you can see some people have started to gather, so I started to shoot, just sort of warm up, take some practice shots and document this sort of process before it. There was a few speeches as well. As you can see here, as the speeches started, a few more people started to appear. People are showing up, they've got their signs ready. That person walking up there, I think, was one of the reporters in Denver. Someone asked him his name at one point. I don't remember what it was, but I guess he works for one of the local news stations. This was one of the first shots that I quite liked. It's not like there's not a huge lot going on here, but I just it's kind of sets the scene for the type of shots where I was trying to make, where there's something going on in the foreground and there's a few layers of complexity going through the picture. Just to the left here, I don't think you see him in the video, but there's a guy standing with his umbrella and his leg up on one of the steps with the Black Lives Matter t-shirt, and I like the way he was standing. Now, the person that's behind me just now has a yellow t-shirt, a red scooter and a red skirt on, but there's also this guy with umbrella behind them, and I kept picking on this person because they just were really interesting looking, and this photo's cropped a lot, but I just quite liked it. Again, to the left of the camera, I don't know why I didn't turn around and face this scene, but there's a security guard who's wearing a kilt. He's actually of Scottish-Irish descent, and he's pointing to the people to the tent where they can get some water. This year, a person handing off water to one of the protesters, that sort of became a theme of the day. I kept finding people handing off water bottles. But seeing these little gestures and things going on like that, I think is as much a part of the protest as the people carrying signs as well. I enjoyed those little sort of acts of kindness that you would see now and again. This photo came out really blurry, but there's something about it that I like. Maybe it's a little bit heavy on the right hand side with all the signs, but yeah, I don't know, I wanted to include it anyways. The person in front of me that was clicking their fingers just now, I caught them just as they're at like the peak point of their click, and their hand is right between that building and the lamppost, and that's why I kept this picture. I did crop it a fair bit just to get some more of the distractions out of the edge of the scene, but that was why I kept this picture, and I like that. This next one is just a simple silhouette. I don't think it's anything special, but I wanted to include it there anyways. Over on the left, there was a few people, maybe two people, that were like shouting abuse. Everybody was ignoring them and just walking the other way, and the security people were sort of creating a barrier between them and the protesters, so there wasn't really any issues going on there. Picking on this person on the scooter again, and actually this was one of my favourite pictures there. It's a very chaotic scene, but we've got the scooter in the foreground and protesters in the background. There was kind of too many for me to really separate them out properly. There's almost organisation in the chaotic scene, and a nice simple background with that building as well. Trying to get a candid shot of this person's sign here, and then they saw me and they moved their elbow out of the way, but I like the shot with the elbow in there better. And here there was a car leading people down the street, and this person holding I think a bottle of water and the sign in there, and I liked how the sign was completely contained within the sky. It wasn't like cutting off the lampposts or anything like that. And again, the guy in the foreground, kind of in shadow, but it's a good silhouette, and then it's layered a little bit. I wish there'd been more separation with the person that's on like sticking out the roof of the car, but I quite like this one otherwise. Again, I was still trying to do the same thing. This time I tried to frame the person in the car between this person's arm and the sign. The entrance to this parking garage, I tried to stop here to see if I could isolate some people there with a nice dark background, and this one came out okay. It was probably my favourite one of there, but otherwise it didn't really work. Just following these two women holding these signs up. Someone was taking a picture of it. The person's reflection of their thumb is in the phone screen. At first I thought it was their head, but it's definitely not. Again, sort of picking on this person sticking out the roof of the car because it's an interesting scene. She lifted her hand up there, and what I liked about this was it's kind of a basic shot that I feel like anybody would see, but what I liked about this was that her arm with the water bottle on the top kind of mimics that lamppost to the left hand side, which I thought made it a little bit more interesting and made me like that picture a bit more. Tried another one from a different angle. I missed a water bottle being handed off there, so that was kind of a bummer. I like this guy's skateboard, but what I also liked about it, I wish I'd really focused in on this, was the guy beside him on the left hand side holding his water bottle with that sort of strange hands behind the back sort of gesture. Just focusing on these girls' signs here as they're walking down the middle of, I think this was Colfax Ave. And then this couple holding hands. I thought this was a nice scene in the middle of the protest. And then back to focusing on the signs that this group were carrying, but while they're walking towards me this time. And what I liked here was that all the signs are separated out into their own little areas. There's no overlap there, and it sort of like neatly places them all. Maybe I wish that building wasn't there in the background and it was all sky, but it is what it is. At this point I met up with Jack, who you've seen in one of my previous videos as well. He usually shoots film, but he'd rented a GR3 and was shooting with that today. Again, this is me trying to sort of arrange a complex scene and make something interesting out of it. We've got Jack there on the left hand side, kind of blocking the frame. This person's hair on the right and the person holding the sign in the middle. At this point everybody took a knee in an intersection and they were there for the full 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And just behind me, a guy on a mobility scooter came through the scene and people made way for him. I was about to take the picture of the guy on the right and the sign in the middle there, and then there was other people kneeling on the left, but then this mobility scooter came in and people moved out the way to let him through. It's just different. Like, I didn't expect to see a mobility scooter coming through there, so I think that's what I liked most about that. Kind of quirky looking almost. Then I'm just shooting around myself, see if there's anything different I can photograph. This was one of the reporters that was there, and this one looked like the microphone was like a giant cigar or something like that she was smoking. To the left of the camera here, you don't really see it properly because I'm leaning over weirdly. This person with her fist up in the air, taking a knee. I thought this was one of my favourites of the day. I thought it kind of kind of poignant photo, I guess. And just in front of me as well, I noticed this couple that were holding hands while they were sat in the intersection, and the person with the sign saying, "You know what gives me a whap?" Here there's a person with an umbrella on kind of the left hand side there. He's in the centre of the frame now. I was taking photos of him as he was walking backwards the wrong way through the crowd, and I got this photo here, and it was by far my favourite one of the day, I think. The people on the right hand side kind of block the frame off. Their hair sort of matches, which kind of almost makes it a little bit more interesting. The person on the left holding their sign up, and you can see their face just starting to creep into the scene there. But then the guy walking the opposite way against the traffic with that rainbow coloured umbrella, and it's contained within the background of that building. But overall, I really like this picture, and this is, I'm pretty sure, my favourite of the day. And here I notice and run towards another water bottle handoff, and I just caught the handoff at that point. And also I liked about that one, there was someone in the background who was taking a picture of the exact same thing from the opposite direction. Here everybody was heading up towards City Hall, and there wasn't anything interesting happening in front of me, but I was just waiting to see if something would. And then this other photographer jumps in front of me, and I got a picture of him mid-air, and I think it added a lot of interest to the scene. Here again, I'm just trying to make some sort of organisation of these busy scenes. This one was not well organised, but I was sort of a step closer. Like, there's obviously not separation between everybody, but I've got people in the foreground, midground and background. I saw this guy before, but he was standing holding both the signs. And then oddly in the background we've got a guy who I think is smoking, and it almost looks like he's holding a tiny figurine of a person who's actually in the crosswalk behind them. There's more of the same here, trying to sort of make sense of this busy scene. This one I liked because I got pretty close to having good separation between everything. We've got Jack sort of blocking off the left hand side of the frame there. There's this person in the blue shirt who was leading a lot of the chants, is sort of in the middle of like a fist pump. Two people holding the signs, and then they frame the photographer who jumped in front of me walking through the middle there, and the other people around that area as well. This one was kind of a detail. There's a lot of people with signs on their bikes, so I was taking a detail shot of that. Now this one I'm kind of experimenting, just trying to get things in all the corners of the screen. Same thing here, I thought the gesture of the person on the right was going to be more interesting as they were clapping, but I don't think this one turned out as well. Now marching back towards the spot where it all started from, there were cars on the road beeping their horns in support. And we got this one here as someone raised their fist up in the air and the driver of the car was actually waving as well. I don't know if I could describe it as mimicking, but their hand is on like the same angle. I may be clutching at straws a little bit with that one, but that was my interest in that picture. Again, we've got someone else driving past beeping their horn. And what I liked about this one was there were 4 different fists up in the air, but on the left hand side it's almost like 3 disembodied arms just sticking out the side of the scene. This is not a good picture, I don't think it's well composed, I just think that that weird sort of detail looked kind of quirky. And again, taking pictures of the person on the scooter. Their head was contained within the sky, so between the buildings there. So you got more of an outline, that's why I liked this one, or kept this one. And I think this was also one of my favourites of the day. We've got the person on the right hand side with the bandana on with their fist in the air, someone holding a sign up in the middle, and then down in the bottom left corner, I really like that there's 2 people holding their masks or adjusting their masks, and then the one person pointing towards something. That was the last picture that I got. After that I had to head back, my parking meter was about to run out and I had to come let Monster out to pee. But I think it was a pretty successful few hours of photography, and it was good to attend a march like that as well. I've recently had some people mention about putting my camera settings in the pictures, and I did used to do that for a while, but it took me so long that I didn't put it in the titles. Like, it just took me forever to edit stuff. So basically my camera settings were f8 and automatic shutter speed, automatic ISO. If you're interested in the gear that I was using, I'll put links in the description below. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.